All right, so I'm going to quickly show you the process for data generation for TensorFlow, at least for the objects that I'm trying to do. So I made edits to the screenshot.py file that you can kind of pull into your current Git directory. So just a quick preface, I kind of changed the screenshot.py program in the middle of recording, so I'm kind of trying to add this to the beginning and trying to edit it so it's not too confusing. But so I changed it to where now it just asks for whatever type of icon you want. So in this case, I'm going to do Firefox. And then it's going to ask for masked or desktop, because if it's masked, it's going to do 100. You want to do up to 100 masked screenshots. You don't want to do any more than that. And then if you pick 2, you want to be on the desktop, and it's going to start from 101, and it's going to go from there until about 200. So just prefacing that, it's like 1, or I didn't mean 2, I meant 1. Say 5, 1, sure. I'm just going to show it briefly. I kind of already go over it at some other point during the video, so sorry if I'm repeating myself, but then it's going to save as firefox.jpg. And hopefully I can edit it so it goes from there. So I basically added this functionality so that I could create screenshots for the Firefox, Edge, and Opera icons. So for the sake of just demonstration, I'm only going to do 1 icon, and I'm only going to do 2 screenshots for specific reasons that I'll show you here. So I'm going to pick Firefox in this case. I'm going to do 1 here. Gotta wait for it. There we go, 1 here, and then I'm going to put 1 right above the tray icon. So let's see. So we want to go to TensorFlow. Actually, no, we want to go to downloads because that's where it was. No, we do want to go into TensorFlow because that's where it was saved. So wherever you obviously ran it is where it's going to be saved. The icon files, or the JPEG files in this case. So the reason why I'm doing this is I'm kind of just showing you what it's going to be like when 2 icons are near each other for labeling. But so what we're going to do right now is open a program called paint.net, which is pretty important for doing this because it makes things go by a lot faster. So I'm going to open, let's see, I just want the file path of this. There you go. So I want to open, Firefox 1. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to try and find, I'll install when I exit, sure. I'm going to click this box here, and then we're going to go to up here, fixed ratio, or no, fixed size. Yep, that's what it is, fixed size. So we're going to go 300 by 300. Just because that's how I normally do my crops. And you're going to want to go down to, as long as your box is, your icon is in your box, it doesn't really matter where you do this. You could put it right here, for example. And then the shortcut that's used in paint.net to crop is Control-Shift-X. And then basically what you're going to want to do is you want to save this. And then make sure quality is at 100. We don't want to lose any quality here. And then just click OK. So now at desktop, PNG or whatever is now just this, is saved as this Firefox 1 JPEG. And then so we're going to do Firefox 2. So this case, we're going to actually, when we're doing this, cropping this, it's going to have both of these icons. We do want both of them during labeling because we want to kind of make sure to show that this is the icon we want at this size, but it could be a little bit smaller too. So it's just kind of an example I'm just showing. If you do have your icon down near this taskbar and it's near the other Firefox icon, you can do this. So I'm going to save that. So now we have 2 of them. The next step is label image, label img. Oh, sorry, label img. Yeah, okay. So mine is somewhere else on here. So I'm going to pause while I find that. So mine was just saved somewhere in my downloads folder. I couldn't find it. So, this label img, if I'm uploading this to YouTube, I'll probably try and find the link for the binary for where I found this. But once you have this downloaded, you're just going to want to run this. And it opens up this interface. So I'm going to open a directory. And in my case, I want to go to my TensorFlow folder. That's where I have the file. So we're going to select this folder. So it does show these icon PNG files, but we don't really care about them. This is the one we care about because it's firefox1.jpg. I would really just try and save these, or I would try and run the screenshot py script in its own folder so that you can just open that folder for this program, so you don't get all these other images in there for confusion. But once you have it open, so you have some shortcut keys. W is going to bring up this tool, which is where you're going to want to put the box around your icon like that. But before we do anything, so when you're doing like the hundreds of labeling, when you're labeling hundreds of images, usually if they're all the same, if you're all labeling the same thing, you're going to want to name this just like, for this case, it's going to be Firefox. If it's Opera icon, it's going to be Opera. If it's the Edge icon, we're probably just going to have it be Edge. So because of this being the default label, if I go press W, and do this, like that, you're also going to want to try and make sure this box is as close around the icon as you can, like that. That's probably an ideal crop. Actually, make sure that the top part of that isn't cut off, like that. Yeah, so make sure that's cropped like that. And I screwed up because this should just be Firefox like that. So we don't want this. Delete that. I'm gonna redo it. Yeah, so make sure your label is correctly named, because then all the other labels will not be correctly named and it'll just be headache trying to rename all of them again. So yep, it's Firefox, and I think that's a good enough box for the rectangle. And so we want to save this. In this case, it's going to be in my TensorFlow folder, but it's basically going to save the Firefox 1 name, which is associated with the JPEG, but it's going to be an XML file. So you're going to want to save that every time you do this. And then the other shortcut is A and D. So that will let you go between PNG files. And so we're going to do this one again. It's fairly, I would say it's very similar. But in this case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be actually labeling 2 of them in the same PNG, because when I cropped this, I also happened to crop the one on the tray here, which is fine because, like I said, having a larger variety and icon size is potentially a good thing. So in this case, we're going to have 2 for this one, which is fine. So it just means that this XML file will have 2 rectbox coordinates. So that's basically the gist of the data creation that I kind of need help with. I would say that the other thing I didn't really demonstrate, which I could, is if we go to the desktop, this is the Edge icon. See how it looks a lot different than this Edge icon down here. So, and these are that's the Firefox, that's the Chrome, and then that's the Opera. So, ideally every icon is going to have 100 images cropped in the way that I did in the very beginning of the video, but you're also going to want to do 100 screenshots of the desktop. And so for the desktop, what we're going to want to do is so it's kind of a little bit of a different process with screenshots. So I'm only going to do 2 to test it out. I'm going to pick what kind of screenshot I want. I want the Firefox icon, but in this case, I want to do 2 because I'm going to be taking desktop screenshots. So there's going to be no mask here, but I'm going to be moving this around the desktop, and it's going to start at 101 like that. So I'm going to move it. There we go. So it starts at 101 because the masked icons, the one that I showed in the beginning, those are going to go up to 100. So to make it easier and to make sure you don't overwrite the Firefox files already there, it's going to start at 101. Because if it started at 1, it would overwrite the screenshots you already had, which means you would lose all 100 screenshots. So you don't want that. But essentially, once you have the desktop ones, it's going to be very similar to before, where you were doing the labeling, but instead you're going to want to start your labeling around here where the bottom left corner of the arrow is, and then up to the like top over here. You don't really care about the text down here. It's not very important. You just want the arrow included and then the entire icon here. So you're going to want to do that for whichever icon you choose to do the hundreds of images for, because you're going to need 100 desktop, 100 masked.